Hello and welcome to another episode of Mystic and the Machine. Sorry we're a day late. We had a very tired, busy weekend, but I did put a video out on Diaries about Ghost in the Shell, and the sort of anti-human, post-human message in it. So go check that out. Go subscribe to Diaries if you haven't already, and I will also put a link to the video essay down in the description. Jake argued with me.
And you should just rewatch Ghost in the Shell.
Well, yeah, Jake argued with me a lot about the premise of my video essay, which wasn't to trash the movie at all. Like I
wasn't saying you were trash to the movie. I think it was just more we approached it from a different philosophical angle.
That's because you were possessed by Ahriman.
Yeah, is it now?
That's why. That's why you think differently.
Is it now?
Hello, J. George. Hello, Amadan. Welcome. I guess we should dive right into...
Oh, another great piece of cyberpunk you should consume is the new Terminator 0 on Netflix. Just watch it. Go and watch it after you watch this podcast.
Are you talking about the animated...
Yeah, the new anime. It's like amazing. It's like the best.
Is it really
thing.
that good?
It's the best thing from the Terminator world since Terminator 2, and it might even be better than Terminator 2. It's fucking
that's like selling
kick-ass.
it. That's selling it really.
It's got 100% on Rotten
intensely.
Tomatoes, dude. I don't think Terminator 2 has 100%.
Wow.
You know, it's fucking dope, bro.
Okay,
it's
I need
really
to check it out.
next level. I was a bit skeptical because IGN gave it a 7, and I don't know why I think I'm just a millennial, so IGN has like a place in my like cultural kind of like where I should take seriously what they say. And but obviously they've dropped the ball in many for the last few years now, and I just don't keep remembering that. I saw that it gave it a 7. I wasn't really sure, and then I took a shitload of mushrooms and started watching it. And I was just like, oh my god, had me by the balls from the
That
beginning.
was the weekend. Was me running around stressed trying to do a million things, and Jake's just like tripping balls on mushrooms.
Watching Terminator Zero. It was fucking great, and I highly recommend you all. I'm gonna rewatch it sober as well, but it was absolutely incredible.
J. George says nah. J. George says nah. You can love the movie and disagree with what it promotes. I agree exactly. I love Ghost in the Shell. I love that whole era of 90s anime, and I'm new to it as well. Like I've sort of, it's been in my like peripheral cultural memory for like a long time, but I'm actually, over the last couple of years I've started to actually like watch them and engage with them and think about them deeply. So it's definitely given me a lot of content, but I'm going to cool it on the anime for a while for sure. I don't want to attract the wrong kind of audience.
Nah, it's all good. It's all good, bro.
I'm not looking to attract the wrong kind of audience.
I don't know what you mean by that.
I think you do.
Anime is great.
I think you do. I think
we're going to Japan. What do you think we're going to be looking at for like
oh my God.
all that time?
I'm not a weeb. I promise, guys. I promise I'm not.
We're going to be buying some OG mangas, dude, and getting some good shit, getting some good Ghost in the Shell merch. That's for goddamn sure.
Yeah, Evangelion merch, all of it. I can't wait.
Want to get me a major figurine?
No, you're not allowed. You're not allowed to have a fucking any figurines that are of anime women. It's not happening. Unless there's a place in Japan where they can like make one of me.
Oh wow!
Then you can have one.
You know what? I bet that there probably is. We should look into that. That would be amazing.
No,
I would love to have that.
No, that would be like Chef Halloran in Shining. How he has like all those Afro naked ladies.
I promise I won't put an afro on you. And like have you in some animalistic pose.
That is such a can we not
like naked.
Can we not right now? Can we absolutely not?
I'd go full initial D mode if I went to Japan. Dude, I am like trying to look up at the moment basically like if there is like a car meet or some kind of like car thing that I can go to, because I am so fucking into Japanese cars as well. So I really would love to see some crazy drift racing.
Speaking of robots, let's get into the topic because I'm excited. The future is here, everybody. Get ready.
Well, there's a couple of robots, so we'll show you the first one, which is by a company called...
Amadan says, battle damage Ava pilot Angie figure. Yes.
Exactly, there we go.
Merch. It should be merch that we create and sell.
Right, let's show these robots. Talking of Avas. This isn't quite Avas.
It's not quite Avas, unfortunately. Sorry to disappoint. But there's a new household robot that's supposedly coming on the market. It's by a company called 1X. And the robot is called the Neo Beta.
It
picks up your backpack and like hugs you.
So I've got a follow-up video from the same company to show you some of the things that it can do. So this is an example that they put out 3 months ago, and this is, I think, with a different type of robot that they've got. I watched a bit of an interview with this Scandinavian fella who's like the head of this company, and they manufacture all their stuff in Norway, and then they have like all the development of the AI stuff in San Francisco. And this is like, I think, a more corporate or business aimed robot, I guess. And this is
less of a household thing. It's more of like a office thing.
The other one we saw is a household one that they're pitching, but this version is, I think, was the sort of more corporate version. It's slightly different. But
hey, Eve, could you and your friends tidy up here? We have some visitors coming.
I'm sold already. Our resident Brazilian will know what to categorize the music.
Can you please pick up the cup?
I was in the fucking office like that. Like, Jesus Christ.
There you go.
It's like
So
so sterile.
So there's not only just one company as well. There's actually a second company with another robot that looks a little bit more Black Mirror-y, in my opinion, but it's also very impressive. Check this out.
Like John Coffins. Alright, jeez, you're such a fucking nerd. Well, all of them have this one is like more like I prefer Six cameras, Jesus Christ. Yeah, this thing is definitely like, selling all of their data. Like a baby in a way. It's so weird. You want to know what I think? You want to know what I think? You
Of
wanna know what I
course.
think?
Of
You wanna
course
know
I
what I
do.
think? You want to know what I think?
Of course.
You want to know what I think? Okay. So, I think that the household robots, total scam.
Total scam.
I think the office robots, fucking total scam.
Total scam.
I think the corporate robots, those
Mhm.
are the ones that are going to be developed and that are going to be the most common. I think that the household ones and the corporate ones are kind of being, hyped in a similar way that AI is being hyped to attract investment, to, hype people up. But it doesn't seem like that, like the amount of computing power that goes into doing the most basic things. I don't think these things are going to be particularly like useful.
Well,
Like,
I'm not
in the
sh-
household and around the office, except for being weird and like in
so
the way.
it very much, I don't know, man. It very much depends. Like,
It just seems like a very
my-
expensive toy.
my initial reaction was very much like the same as you, but then after kind of actually seeing it do its little demo, even with its shitty little like trash picker hands, it's still pretty capable to pick up various different sized.
I think you just want like a
things.
Wall-E slave.
I don't want a Wall-E slave.
You do.
Not at all.
Just admit it.
This is kind of terrifying,
admit it.
and especially after watching Terminator on mushrooms. This is like kind
Why
of.
did you watch Terminator
little
on
bit.
mushrooms? What was wrong with you?
Because you fucking
Jeez.
like, I don't know, dude. I really enjoy like strapping in and like fucking watching something when I'm tripping out. I love that. That's really good. for
You
me.
watched Doctor Strangelove as well.
Yeah.
And that's an insane thing to do.
I think that was
like, on
really
mushrooms.
good. That was like
It's
not
just
on
really
mushrooms.
crazy.
That was the first time I did acid.
Oh yeah, shit, I forgot.
That was the first time I did
you
acid.
full on watched Doctor Strangelove, and then you decided to watch fucking Terminator on mushrooms.
Yeah.
What epiphanies did you have, and how does it tie to this robot thing?
I did the same thing 2 weeks ago with Cyberpunk Edge Runners and watched that on mushrooms.
Oh my
as well.
god.
But I think like what I came to the conclusion of, especially at the end of Cyberpunk Edge Runners, was just the kind of if this technology is proven to actually work, like the Neuralink and being able to like neurally send data to a chip, which is what these robots have.
Yeah.
And that's, I don't know if you understood essentially all the tech jargon
Whoa!
that was going on in the video.
The misogyny, the actual misogyny. Look at mansplaining happening in real time. See what I have to live with in this house. This is literally what I have to live with in this house.
I'm just saying, right?
Free Angie.
Do you understand?
Hashtag free Angie.
Do you understand what the sort of I think how did it phrase it? Autonomously neural net trained or something like that. Hang on a second. When he was wedging the car parts in.
I'm still reeling from being talked to like that.
What are you talking about? I talk to you with the utmost respect. There you go. So
not just then.
So bang. Neural network, 100% autonomous neural network learned placement. So what that means? Do you know what that means?
No, I don't know.
Right. Okay. So there we go. There we go. Right. Okay. So that's what I'm talking about. Okay. So don't get all up on your fucking high horse. All right. And then be like,
my God.
Actually, no, I don't know what that is. No. It's like, come on, bro. I'm just trying to fucking have a conversation. I'm not trying to fucking talk down to you. I don't know. It's the sort of technical thing that you're not gonna know.
Because I'm not a woman in STEM.
No.
Fuck you. I'm joking.
Okay, so what that
whatever.
means
Go on,
is
go
that it's basically simulated this millions of times within a piece of software. So the robot itself has never done it.
Yeah.
It has only been fed the data of simulations that have completed the task. And so it's able to do it without ever being done it in real life. It has just been sent the instructions based off of a simulation, and it can fully do it. And then after it does that, it then shows it. Oh, I won't even bother bringing up the video because it's all too much clicking. But it then shows it fucking up that data set and not placing it correctly and correcting itself.
Wow.
So, and this is this figure one, and you can see a very big difference between figure, which clearly has some sort of immense level VC or corporate involvement with it, which is how they've secured manufacturing a BMW plant and shit like that, and where their robots literally look like something out of fucking Black Mirror or something.
Mirror. But even then,
and the other one doesn't. The other one is more focused to office, and it's kind of with a smaller startup company, which is like obviously got a good amount of funding and everything else, but not cooperation with a company like fucking BMW that has like decade, if not centuries, fucking experience in manufacturing stuff. Yeah. So I don't think it's really on the same level.
But
and that freaked me the fuck out, the figure one.
I agree. But even then, even though I'm saying it's fake and gay, I'm only saying it's fake and gay for now. I think eventually it will catch up to the point where we are gonna see it more commonly, but for now I think it's like fake and gay, and I don't believe
this is the worst it's ever gonna be.
Yeah, this is the worst it's gonna be.
So remember that
the worst it's gonna be.
It's only ever gonna get better at who knows what kind of exponential rate from what kind of investment that's being done in robotics, which seems actually like a very hot topic at the moment. Yeah. Outside of AI, robotics is probably the next thing that people are really looking at.
Do you think that eventually when it gets rolled out, because I mean you're talking about the fact that it's able to sort of run these simulations and correct itself, do you think it will ever get to the point where people will use these for things like childcare and like entrust?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? This is a very cold, calculated thing that you're in a manufacturing plant handling car parts and things like that. Is what it looks like, right? Yeah. Like it's helping out at the BMW factory, essentially,
Yeah.
right? And so where a human could be in some element of danger around heavy machinery and stuff like that, and it is purely just manual labor to load stuff into another machine, etc.
yeah.
But you need a human's dexterity and all of those like innate kind of intelligent skills of deciphering shapes and you know, basic things.
But then in terms of social care, that's
You
one of
cut
the
me
main.
off.
Oh, sorry.
When it comes to anything to do with an emotional level of responsibility, that's where I think it's still a total grey area.
Well,
and
no.
like it's something that wouldn't probably be possible until you would be convinced that there's like a literal digital a literal ghost in the shell.
Well, no, actually, in places like Japan, also in Europe, robotics is one of the areas that they're looking to solve the problem of elderly care with. You know, one of the major shortages that is happening in these countries where there's aging populations is people to take care of the elderly. And I mean, in Japanese nursing homes, for instance, they've not necessarily had robots caring for the elderly, but they have things like robot companions and things like that for robot animals for patients with dementia, all sorts of things.
Yeah, but these are all adults and like people.
Well, no,
that
they're
aren't-
vulnerable.
They're vulnerable.
They're
but
vulnerable.
They're vulnerable.
Babies are vulnerable.
They're-
The elderly are vulnerable.
They're vulnerable, but in a way where if you turn around, they wouldn't fall off of something and die.
It's
So-
quite possible.
so,
it is quite possible.
know.
If you've dealt with a very vulnerable elderly person who has bone issues, who could fall and like shatter a hip.
Sure, but
all
they're
of
gonna
those
stay.
things.
They're gonna stay put then, aren't they? And like my nan's a bit like that, and she knows her limits and whatever
Yeah,
else.
yeah,
So it's just
yeah.
sort of like, you know, because she's an adult.
Yeah.
Because she's had 80 years
Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah,
experience, or
yeah.
88, or I think in 89 years of experience.
But that's one area
Fucking-
I definitely foresee these things being rolled out once they become, you know, more technologically capable of, you know, doing certain things. I think the care work world is going to definitely, and I don't know how I feel about that.
I would
mean,
like
it's-
a version of this and Judge Dredd kind of combined together, but in schools.
What the fuck?
Do you know what I mean?
Why would you
Like because they've also got like now they've got these
Wow.
really crazy powerful lasers, right? That can kind of like, you know,
Jesus
just kind of just like go through genes and just sort of like singe you a little bit. But like so if like teachers really hate working
Yeah,
their job
your sister's a teacher and
because
she's been
of
complaining.
how difficult children are and all of this
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
the
So you
Gen
get
Alpha.
Judge fucking
bad.
Robot, you get Professor Judge Robot teacher to come in and fucking
Zap
give
the
give the
children.
lesson and give it articulately and really like accurate, no hallucinating AI bullshit. Like you've programmed it with all the proper curriculum and all the good stuff, and it can like speak and it can understand students and it can respond and it can mark papers and it can do everything that a teacher would do. But then also when the kids step out of line, it can like fucking Inspector Gadget zap them, put them back in their chair. And
So you're
then,
saying we should bring back robots and corporal punishment for children?
Yes. Yes. Or maybe just like child labor and get them building the robots. They've got little hands to help with all the delicate wiring.
You
So
really
that-
are possessed by Araman, aren't you?
That could be good.
Oh my god.
It keeps them out of trouble. What do they say? The devil loves idle hands or whatever. There's no
It's the
idler
opposite.
hands than a child's hands. So you know, get them busy manufacturing our robots.
Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Well, what about in terms of labor and stuff? Like if you bought a robot, could you technically lease that to like a small company and make a profit?
Well,
Because it's technically a labor
Well,
machine.
think about jobs that require menial things that aren't very delicate and emotional labor. So they've tried already with some like experimental things. I think even up to 10 years ago now at this point, with like robot kitchens and stuff
Robot
like
kitchens?
this. Yeah, like restaurants that were in California that were entirely machine based.
Wow.
That you would drive up to. It was just a drive-through, obviously.
Oh, I thought you meant
But-
like a meal, like
no. It's just
Michelin
drive-through
star
culture in America
fucking-
is like everybody's getting drive-through. That's like
Yeah.
the fucking thing, right? So like, it's a drive-through any restaurant. You bip in your fucking order, and then if it's a pizza machine, it starts to assemble the pizza and fucking puts it through the machine, puts it in the box, ends up on the fucking counter. You take it away, and it was not very successful for whatever reasons. I think it was too expensive or whatever the fuck for the machine at the time.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So,
but if you had one of these to replace a human being that was more reliable, and you bought it once, and it wasn't this complicated one-off piece of machinery that needed delicate maintenance, you could run a pizzeria with tables. And not need necessarily anybody there.
Jay George says Anthony Bourdain is in his grave right now.
As we speak. Yeah, absolutely, bro. Absolutely. But I guess that's the thing, isn't it? It's like, or maybe it's one of those things where like food is something that will always be one of those things that I would say music would be the same thing, but look at all the fucking shit that's happened with AI music and like all
I
of the
was
shit.
trying to kind of recreate the orchestra Japanese
Ghost in the Shell
intro for the video using AI, and what came out was terrifying. It wasn't the vibe I was looking for, but just the fact that you could produce a whole film score now is like really frightening notion. And yeah, who's to say that there won't be a robot that can cook you a Michelin star meal in like the next 30 years.
Okay, so maybe not that. I think even if you were looking at it like not restaurants like you gave a shit about, which is kind of the point, right? Like it's a fucking pizza takeaway. It's like not a shitty, but it's a pizza joint. It's not like
McDonald's or something.
Yeah, exactly. Like a McDonald's, like a Pret, like a fucking Costa.
What about elevated McDonald's, Shake Shack?
Well, even then,
In-N-Out.
No, Shake Shack. All of those things are repeatable to a literal fucking thing where you can open it anywhere in the world.
Yeah,
that's kind of the point, right?
Yeah.
And if you've essentialized your stuff to that level, then yes, it's repeatable to the point that a robot should and probably could do it.
That's an awful thing to say, because think about Japanese street food culture, for instance. A lot of those vendors have been making the same thing for hundreds of years, and their sons and their grandpappies and their grandpappies grandpappy or whatever.
I think it's.
So would you like to go? Because we're about to visit Tokyo.
Yeah.
Would you like to go there and all those street vendors, all that charm, all that history is like robots?
I think it's more like, would I be upset if I went into one of the 7-Elevens and I knew that all the food was actually prepared by robots and it was delivered by robots, and then at the cashier there was a robot? Would I be upset about that? No, I wouldn't.
Well, I'm not talking about that, though.
No, but that's the level of food that I'm talking about.
Okay,
and that's what McDonald's is, and that's what fucking Pret is. Pret's coffee is fucking
Pret's
garbage.
Terrible. It's fucking dishwater.
You're telling me that and human beings make that? I think a robot could do it better. More consistently, at least. You know?
I don't know. I'm skeptical about the encroachment of robots, not just into like into public life, but also into the private domain, which is what this is advertising. I think for now it's fake and gay. Like a lot of this really speculative shit is.
The danger of it,
it is
Angie,
coming. It is coming down the pipeline.
The danger of it. What's the biggest employer in America?
I don't know.
And a large employer in the UK, I would imagine as well.
I don't know.
Amazon.
Oh wow.
Sorting parcels in a warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So not only that, delivering. At the stage where they've kind of figured out that these robots have the capability to drive safely on a road. Done. It's the same level of kind of labor that they're trying to replace.
Yeah. And
even kind of intellectual labor and stuff, they're trying to make that into software most of the time.
Yeah. True.
You know?
True. But that's terrifying and awful.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, it's seen as like a cost-cutting measure because you don't have to pay a robot and get its private benefits, a healthcare thingy, or do any of this or do any of that, right? And you pay for that robot once, and you got like a deal or something with the company to go and get repairs or whatever.
Well, then
how do you,
if you were thinking about it badly, would getting ahead of the curve mean investing in robotics? And attempting to get your stake held in that or whatever.
I think it's definitely. Well, I'm not someone that gambles on stocks like that, right?
No, but I mean, just in terms of like the future.
And morals aside, if you want stock advice from someone that doesn't ever do stocks, by the looks of things, and I told my brother this like a couple of weeks ago before everything went to shit again for whatever fucking reason, like the whole world's economy like did another dip. I was like, bro, if you want to do stocks, get in fucking Raytheon. And
Oh my God.
Northrop Grumman and
Oh my
fucking,
God.
you know, all those boys, because war is the thing that's like of the season right now,
Yeah,
right? And
yeah.
those boys are going to be making money
Yeah.
hand over fist.
Yeah.
Nvidia, it's still a bit shaky,
But I
right?
think that's the reason I bring that up is because I feel like that's why they're making all of this essentially propaganda, is to sort of attract investment and attract hype.
It's to show off its capabilities, and let's be honest, it's very, very impressive.
I don't
when
believe
you start,
it.
When
I don't
you start,
believe it.
You've just seen it with your eyes.
I don't
Unless
know.
it's a faked video and someone
It
can
feels
prove that it's
kind
a
of CGI adjacent to me, but that I'm crazy.
it didn't
and
look.
schizo.
It didn't look. If that's goddamn
Especially the
good
Office
CGI.
one. The Office one looked like literally.
Nope, it
an
looked like it
episode
was
of Black
well.
Mirror.
It looked like it was well filmed, and they were in the environment naturally. That would be really hard to fake, I think.
I don't know, man.
How would they tuck the chair? Like, did it get some string?
Show
some
it again.
invisible-
Show it again.
No, like I think
I'm
you're. I
joking.
think you're.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
You know, it's a freaky thing, but
It
like
is scary.
the robotics thing is hot on the trails, and when everybody kind of, I think I saw someone make a comment today on the internet somewhere that was like, oh, when ChatGPT first came out, GPT-3, everyone thought it was like interesting but still kind of dumb, and you know whatever, like a bit of a gimmick. Like a year later with GPT-4, and it's like outperforming like people on tests, and you know. Excelling further than like humans in some areas and whatever,
Of course.
or than the average human, or however you would describe it. Like, you know, not everyone obviously are a specialist, but yeah, that leap is only within a year, and I think we're at a point now where all of these technologies are going to start getting stacked on top of each other, and something weird is going to happen, dude.
Yeah, dude.
Some Ghost in the Shell or like Terminator
arising.
Shit is going to be put to the test.
You said it. It's the Antichrist. It's the fucking time, guys.
You know,
I'm your high priestess of the apocalypse. You know. But even then, I one of the things that I was thinking of was the childcare, elder care thing, and how, I mean, even now with millennial parents, that you were just talking about your sister who's a teacher, and teaching assistant, sorry, and how she you know, has to deal with all these problems in the school and these kids who have behavioral issues, and those behavioral issues are largely due to parental negligence, and that parental and millennials have specifically been notoriously negligent with their kids and have kind of outsourced parenting to iPads and technology. And I feel like domestic robots is just going to be a whole other level to that, or of that. I don't know how that's going to work, or what the ethics around that's going to be. And also to think of all the behavioral and psychological problems that kids have now because of iPads. Imagine the kids who are raised by iPads and domestic robot nanny slaves.
I don't know. It's kind of if someone had like really busy parents, but then no further support network, like they both had to work to kind of keep things afloat, but then they were able to entrust this robot, and this robot's kind of programmed with all the latest child psychology stuff.
No.
Would that not be like better than?
No, that's terrible. That because it's like the whole cloth mother, wire mother monkey experiment. Where I forget the name of the scientist, but he did this like weird experiment where he put baby monkeys in a cage with a wire mother that was cold and hard, but it had like food attached to it, and a cloth mother that was soft, but it had no food attached to it. And he was sort of studying the psychological effects of neglect on infants. And even though the cloth mother had no food, the monkeys would go to it because it was soft. They wouldn't go to the wire mother even though it had food as much, because they needed nurture and like love and care.
I know, but it's just like, how was your day, Billy? Like, you know, it was this and that, and then he starts to give you some lip, and then the fucking lasers come out.
Well, the reason I bring that experiment up,
that's what I'm talking about.
No, dude. No, dude.
And he gets so good, he starts to be able to dodge the lasers, and then he's sort of like, the robot slowly walks over and just like jabs him with his finger, and he's got like the sick stick, like from Judge Dredd. And he's just fucking sick everywhere.
The only
just
reason I
like,
bring
there
that
you go.
experiment up though is because I feel like it is kind of a precursor to the era we're entering in terms of like child psychology and like infant neglect and the outsourcing of the parental roles and all of those things.
What if the dad was just really into Jordan Peterson, so he just like programmed
it
the
with
robot
12 rules for life?
to just be like JP
Oh my god.
to raise his kid.
No, I couldn't leave my baby with a robot like ever.
Programmed like Jordan Peterson.
No, especially not programmed like Jordan Peterson. Jesus.
There was a scene in Fallout recently, the recent series that was so fucking funny to me, and they got the voice of Matt Berry to be Codsworth, like the robot guys that follow you, used to follow you around in Fallout 4, and there's a scene in it before like all the bombs drop and stuff when he's just like talking about being a sellout, and he's like, my voice is gonna live forever and this is gonna fucking suck, like, you're gonna be haunted by me just because like you think my voice is charming now, kind of thing. It's like, no dude, you should definitely do that. If one of those house robots had Matt Berry sass and like
would just
voice,
love it.
I would have it just to give quips around the house.
Oh my god.
Just to observe my life and then actually comment on the things I'm doing in a Matt Berry voice. I think that would be hilarious.
Would you let it do sexual favors?
If you got the robot to jack you off,
Yeah.
is it masturbation or is it
or
is it cyber sex?
Cyber sex. It's like, and it's not. It's like this thing with no gender. It's like this weird.
Well, you can stick
thing.
whatever you want on it, can't you? You could stick a fleshlight on it, or you could stick a dildo on it.
Oh my
couldn't you?
god. No.
It can be whatever you want it to be.
I didn't know if I would let it cook for me.
Why not?
Because I feel like it would fuck up your kitchen. Like you
What?
said, the wrong amount of pressure on a plate could like fucking break it.
Imagine
That's gonna require a lot of computing.
Imagine if like these robot companies get super fucking rich and powerful,
Yeah.
and they just pay like, for example, Gordon Ramsay to like put a camera or however they would get the data right from Gordon Ramsay.
Just like all the episodes of Kitchen Nightmares.
No, like just cooking, like actually cooking, and then like so you now have the data set of Gordon Ramsay that would be obviously a purchasable DLC for your robot.
Oh my god.
For him to be able to cook you a steak and the lamb sauce,
Oh
like
my god.
fucking Gordon Ramsay.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
And he'll do it as well, which is fucking nuts.
How much is this? Has there been a price?
There's no
released for
price
this,
attached for any of these, which has been the
But they
frustrating bit.
said cheaper than you think.
Yeah.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
I'm not sure, but I could
Because the
imagine...
last robot we saw that was commercially sellable, that was quote unquote cheap. It was around $16,000 thereabout.
Yeah.
So do you think this will be less than that or more than that?
I think the figure one, the second one, will be more than that. It looks way too well manufactured to cost only that amount of money. Or then saying
But
that,
what about the 1X
like,
one?
if they're just not like money grubbing like fucks like Apple, and it's just that the cost is actually only a little bit of got headroom on it for profit and whatever, and it's not just a purely like 300% markup from the cost of the manufacturing, then they could get it pretty low, I would imagine. It really depends how they position it and what they're trying to position it for.
True.
But even if it just became like another thing, like your phone, you don't buy most of the time, right? People don't buy their phone in cash unless they're fucking rich boy. You get a fucking contract for it. You sign up for a finance.
But even then, how? What about the 1X one? How much do you think that might?
That
cost?
looks like it would be cheaper because it's a cheaper company and whatever. So if you took,
do you think it'd be cheaper than 16K or not?
Possibly.
Like how much in a ballpark of do you think it would be?
Maybe like 10 grand.
Wow.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Maybe 16 grand is kind of a good estimate for something like that.
Yeah.
I don't know if it would be cheaper.
For me,
than
it depends on what it can do, and I feel like at this point it's fake and gay, and it would only be able to like pick up your backpack, and like give you a weird hug, and
I think it
I don't
very
want
much
that for 16 grand. I can do that shit myself.
I think you need to watch Cyberpunk Edge Runners and you need to watch Terminator, okay? Because I think you're not quite understanding this like neural network capability of like learning and shit, right? So if these robots have a capability right now that is only purely limited by the chipset that they have in their computing and the physical robotics of it, then that's one thing. if actually the physical robotics of it and the chipset has headroom, then you could buy a robot that would receive an update and it could work potentially twice as good as when you originally bought it. Like this very same robot could just essentially receive some kind of update and be able to walk incredibly smoothly. Or maybe the hold up with the smooth movement of the robot, like for the figure, when you saw how its hand is like doing all this crazy dexterity and movement and stuff, the other guys don't have that, right? If it's just purely like it has a hand that's like this, but it can't quite do all the movement yet, and then there's just an update, and then all of a sudden it can move its hand like that. That's the kind of thing that's potential.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's not just like a set in stone thing with any of these things.
No.
And it's again the worst it's ever going to be.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is. It's weird. Well, I guess we should move on to our next story, which is about another weird dystopian development in tech.
This
we'll show
is
you
wild.
An annoying TikTok video, sorry, about that first to explain it, and then we have an article after.
Cognify is a new concept for prison reform where criminals would have the choice to choose between spending tens of years behind bars or instead opt to have AI artificial memories implanted into their brain. The idea is to treat criminals like patients and permanently change their brain chemistry by implanting these artificial memories so that when they re-enter society, they are a new and completely reformed person who mentally cannot commit any more crimes. The way that it works is that depending on the severity of the crime, AI would design these false memories to be implanted that would make the person more empathetic, or in some circumstances, make them physically and emotionally feel the pain of their victims and their victims' families. Even though this process only takes about 7 minutes, to the subject, it would feel like it had been years. Last year, the United States government spent $8.7 billion of taxpayer money on the prison system. This whole process would cut that spend significantly, and we could use that extra money on healthcare, education, and other technology advancements. Not to mention, you would have a whole new group of rehabilitated people entering the workforce and boosting the economy. The only situation that this doesn't sound good for is the person who is convicted guilty when they are actually innocent. Would they choose to spend years behind bars or permanently have their brain altered in order to get out in minutes? If you were in one of these situations, what would you choose? And as always, let me know what you think about all of this down below.
She's got crazy
that's
eyes.
absolutely mental.
She's fucking got mental illness. But to show you this isn't some speculative sci-fi and it's real, let's pull up the article
like
about it.
I thought that energy was coming from a different perspective. Do you know what I mean? I didn't realize that energy was like,
She was
oh
like,
my
yes,
god,
yes, make
can you
this.
believe it? They finally figured it out. They figured out how to fucking like basically digitally lobotomize people so that we can empty the prisons.
Oh
like,
my god,
that is
Well,
an absolutely insane take,
yeah,
Karen.
yeah.
That's fucking
This
wild.
is like the weird HR woman authority figure that like loves this kind of shit. But anyway, yeah, go to the article. It's a dazed article on this new thing. So basically what it is, what the premise behind it is that you know, they were able to sort of implant false memories successfully into rats and a couple of other animals. And then that plus new developments in AI, you know, text to image software like Sora. They're trying to find ways to sort of marry these things, these two elements together in order to create a kind of punitive system that kind of, I guess, condenses punishment. But the thing is, what my issue with it is that it assumes that by basically mentally torturing someone like in an Alex DeLarge fashion, it would actually induce change in the person. I think that that's the mistake that it makes. I think that the assumption that it would actually just like induce that mentally torturing someone and sort of condensing that into this really intense period would create a moral epiphany. And it's that same Ahrimanic consciousness that you see in Ghost in the Shell. It's this idea of trying to create a spiritual thing, like a moral epiphany, through these mechanistic, mechanical means. The idea that you can really reform someone in the soul, which is, you know, a process of redemption which is a spiritual process, is ludicrous. And the fact that this is even being explored seriously is insane. But it just shows you the vantage point that our technological process is being sort of seen through. This is the way. This is the philosophy that's leading it, and that's quite terrifying.
It's I mean, dude, that picture looks fucking nuts.
Yeah.
The
that's
picture looks nuts.
that's in my world. That's what the male breeding facilities will look like.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
You gotta chill out, dude. That's crazy. You're talking some wild stuff.
Well, you
right
know,
now.
there's a few too many of you running around.
Oh
so
my goodness.
I'm joking.
Do I need to be locked away? Is that
Yeah,
what you're saying?
especially with your mansplaining, you know.
With my mansplaining.
In my world, there'll be no mansplaining.
Aren't you glad
You'll
that-
be in the machine getting milk.
Aren't you glad you understand the robot stuff a bit better now?
Thank you for teaching me. Jesus.
But this is absolutely unhinged.
Yeah,
and
it's
I can't
crazy.
believe that lady had energy. Like, I thought she was saying like, "Oh my god, I can't believe it! I found this
Yeah,
thing."
but that's the thing
And
is-
like warning us all about it, and then
Yeah,
she
no,
twisted
she
at the end
twisted
there,
it,
and
yeah.
just like,
Isn't it great? She's like Nurse Ratchet, and that's the thing that
Yeah.
these people want, is a way of like quickly bypassing spiritual and moral development using technological means and trying to force something. It's the plot of fucking Clockwork Orange.
it's the plot of Ghost in the Shell as well.
Well, I guess it's not the plot. It's not the same, because Clockwork Orange is about this.
It's what the puppet master does to people. He
Yeah, yeah,
implants
yeah.
fake memories
Yeah,
in them to
yeah,
make
yeah,
them
yeah,
do
yeah,
to
that's
the
true.
opposite, to make them do crimes.
Yeah.
It's the other way around, where they're like trying to place fake memories and change
Yeah.
your. I don't know if it would entirely work in the way that they're thinking about.
Well,
in that
I
way.
don't know, because the thing is the article. Well, I'll link to the article when the show's done. But the article basically talks about the trials in mice, and we haven't had human trials. We don't even know
But
how.
mice don't commit crime.
But they were able to kind of implant. It's not just crime. I don't think
Right.
they were planting memories in terms of crime. They were trying to plant certain incentives to create certain behaviors.
I know, but the other half of what she talked about was that people wouldn't be able to commit crimes anymore, like Alex. In
No,
A Clockwork
that's
Orange.
not what she said. She said that it would make them have a moral epiphany, because they would have been mentally tortured in such a condensed amount of time by.
like the Black Mirror.
Yeah. So
little
basically,
box
what they
thing.
want to do is use drugs to induce certain feelings,
Mm-hmm.
use AI image to text to image generation technology to create certain imagery, and also to implant memories into people's head using the technology they've used on mice. And they think that doing all of this will be a way of forcing someone, a prisoner, somebody who's transgressed against society, to have enough of a moral epiphany to change and not have to do jail time, but be released out quicker.
Do you reckon they tested it out on the guy that tried to kill Trump?
Who knows? The thing is, I've been reading a bunch about medical experiments, unethical medical experiments. I don't know, because I feel like we're in the age of Aquarius, and like
All right, Mangala. Angie
no,
Mangala. Calm down.
we're in the age of Aquarius, and you know, one of the mysteries we have to confront is evil.
I'm just curious. I'm just curious about these experiments.
Shush.
I wish to plan some of my own experiments too.
I do not. I'm a nice girl. Which one is it Pinky or the Brain? Which one is the evil one in Pinky and the Brain?
The brain.
I'm the Brain. Yeah, you're a Pinky. But anyway, yeah. So I was reading up on these unethical medical experiments, and in American history specifically, and prisons have been places where they've gone to do both unethical medical and psychological research. And one of the things they have done is to promise prisoners, lessened sentences, all sorts of things, as an incentive for them to join these experiments. And many have lost their lives. Many have been maimed for life. This weird encroachment of tech and science into the criminal justice system is something that is the stuff of nightmares and horrors, because the level of rights prisoners have are already reduced. So it's like a weird thing to begin with, and giving someone the option of doing a bunch of time in jail or being mentally tortured by some kind of weird MK Ultra machine we've seen A Clockwork Orange, or we've read it. Have we not learned anything? Has any of the great literature, the great cyberpunk literature of the 20th century, has it not taught us
That sounds like a great
thing?
idea.
I'm actually like, I'm dumbfounded. That anyway, and that's the title, Clockwork Orange. The mechanical. He's trying to force an orange, something organic, something human, something natural to behave in a mechanical fashion. And it's not that Alex Delage isn't a psychopath, but he's a fucking human being, and sometimes human beings are fucking psychopaths. And psychopathy literally translates to soul sickness, a sickness of the soul. This is a soul problem. It's not something that can be dealt with through these harmonic fucking mechanisms.
Well, it's all very interesting, isn't it? It's all very interesting.
Like,
because
that's why
actually the idea that someone that suffered from a traumatic childhood could have that replaced with a pleasant one, and the type of effect that would have on their general demeanor and over time and all of those kinds of things is actually a slippery slope and a very scary thing.
Yeah.
But also, like, we're thinking we're given this like toxic, terrible dystopian version of it.
Yeah.
Let's think about it in the best possible version of it.
Jay George is correct. He says fear eats the soul. And all of this stuff is fear-based. And all of the things we develop technology around are fear-based.
No, don't fear the cybernetic fucking
Oh my god,
network,
no, I don't want to hear your
Because
harmonic bullshit right now.
It's coming.
Yeah,
right?
it is. That doesn't mean I'm gonna give my fucking bend over for the basilisk. It's not happening.
No one's saying that.
That is what you're saying right
That's
now.
not what I'm saying, okay?
Oh my god.
But think about it in the best possible scenario, okay?
Yeah, but that's the thing is there's great possibility, and I'm not anti-tech. There's great possibility and great potential. However, the people and institutions that are responsible for the development of this tech, the types of societies we live in, the types of economies we have, XYZ, none of this facilitates positive.
What if those memories extend to even muscle memory, and you have been given fake memories that you played piano since you were 3 years old, and then you had this treatment and you came out of the place and you're smashing it like some fucking, like, one of those Chinese dudes that just doesn't miss a note.
But what about the meaning of like learning to develop skills and learning how to, that's all stuff that builds character and makes you a person.
It's
like, it kind of reminds
like boomer talk.
Yeah, that's really, that's a sick thing. Like, think
It's
about
the future, baby.
Think about no. This is the erasure of the human soul.
It's the future,
like, think
baby.
about fashion, for instance, and aesthetics.
Mm-hmm.
If you talk to any young person now about subculture or aesthetics being attached to a certain set of values, they'll call you a fucking boomer, because it's all just like fucking fun and like aesthetics or whatever. And I feel like the same principle applies to that when you start saying, none of the lived experience, none of the values, none of what goes into, the creation of something matters, because
that stuff matters whilst you can remember it. And if the reverse happens and that stuff is taken away, you would not remember being a bad person, committing murders, doing all sorts of things. Or even then further back, the reason why you were like so unrooted or had such a bad upbringing or whatever it was that made you do that in the first place. All of it completely gone. You are essentially like a new person. A lot of like what makes you up, all that experience is memory.
But there's a difference between the transformative experience one has through development than wiping someone clean. I'm not the same person I was in my 20s. I've done a lot of development. I'm a brand new person. And I'm glad that was a trajectory that was, not
it would
overwhelming and immediate, and like
it would be less of a curve that goes like this and more of steps.
I don't know.
So you would have these moments where, oh shit, like, yeah, all of these, whatever the example would be, you've got to get rid of all of the bad stuff that you've done, and then bang, you're a new person and you develop again, and then I've done bad things, and
No,
then bang.
no.
But you probably need to do less
No.
deleting each time because you've done less bad things.
No, Jake, you just want an excuse to do like crime or like pre-crime or whatever. I don't know.
Pre-crime, you're getting into some sketchy, even sketchier territory now. You're getting some Philip K. Dick territory
We are.
now.
Well, we're already there. You know, we're pretty much there.
Like I think that's also the crux of what Ghost in the Shell is asking, which is a question which is still is, I don't think, any closer to really an answer than when that film was made in 1996 or whatever, 1993, which was that if
It's older than me. Shit.
what makes up you and your person? Is it this innate thing? Is it this soul? Is it whatever? Is it the makeup of all your experiences up until this moment? Is it all of the environment that you've like consumed also within that time, and what you've seen around the world? Is that all then literally just data that can
No, it's not.
ultimately,
It's a confluence. Of
if
things.
someone's just proven that they can fucking replace memories in people's brains,
They didn't.
dude,
They replaced it
then
in a mouse, and even then,
yeah, dude,
even then,
that's one step away,
no, but
baby.
let me finish.
That's
Even
like
then,
nuts.
let me finish. Even then, if you read the actual article, it's dubious as to whether they actually replaced a memory again.
Of course, it's a mouse. It can't
No,
talk.
let me finish.
They've got to try it on someone, haven't they?
Well, let me finish. We don't know, and the soul, and the body, and all of the different components that make up the human being. To separate that is to fragment us, to fragment ourselves. So I don't agree with you that like the soul is this superfluous thing that can just be uploaded and downloaded and XYZ.
I don't know if that's true or not, and I think that's yet to be proven with the technology that is currently developing. And I think we're getting closer to the point where we're actually going to find that question.
Well, I think we're in
to
the
that
point
question.
now, and we're in the age where these existential questions are being forced to come to the forefront. And those of us like me who have a spiritual perspective see this as sort of a disillusion of like the wholeness of like the anthropos in a way. But that's not to say there aren't like a bunch of philosophies that embrace this sort of thing, like Deleuze, for instance. The idea of the body without parts. That's something I'm writing about currently. Look into that. I highly recommend. But he sort of was doing cybernetic psychology in a way before anyone else was, and exploring different ways of being, how different ways of being would emerge, and how different ways of thinking about the self would emerge through technology and like cybernetics. And Ghost in the Shell mirrors exactly that. But I don't like the conclusions that it makes. And I also don't like the conclusions that Deleuze makes as well, because even though it posits this kind of freedom, it has this incredibly narrow view of what makes up a person, and also an incredibly deterministic view as well about the evolution of consciousness.
So what I like about the way that Cyberpunk Edge Runners kind of goes into the subject of transhumanism is the kind of inevitability of it, is because if this technology does prove to exist and can speed up muscle fibers and all sorts of fucking sci-fi shit, people are going to pay to have it. And those people will inherently become more competitive in the world than everybody else.
But that doesn't
and that
mean...
by nature will set a new standard, and everybody will be forced to essentially meet that standard.
No, they won't, because...
Or live on the outskirts of society and do crime for a living and all of those kinds of things. And that is literally the whole point of cyberpunk, right?
Yeah.
And like, it's not that you want to take on all of this robot shit into your body and literally cybernetic yourself to be twice the size and look like fucking nuts by the end of the series or whatever the fuck, like David, the main character. But fucking you end up having to just to survive.
Well, you have
just
a
to do all of
choice,
that.
and no matter what, I wouldn't.
And the
I
world
feel
is
like
heading
that's
that way, bro.
I feel like that's the reason why
That's why it's
whole...
inevitable.
Thank you. You keep interrupting me.
You didn't let me finish.
Anyway, I feel like that's why the whole like mark of the beast thing, or archetype or motif, is kind of like in the or a prophecy of like the Book of Revelations. One of the things that it like, you know, says is that you will not be able to buy, sell, participate in society, and that you'll have to kind of make a choice. And I feel like we're getting closer and closer to that point. And I would never ever give up. I would never plug into anything that would like try to, I mean, it's difficult because it's like, one could say we already have with digital.
Your data is already that.
But it's different from, I can delete all my shit now and it wouldn't matter. So we're not there yet. We're not at the point where it's such an all-encompassing system that being outside of it is completely and utterly inconceivable. And I think it's getting to the point where, yeah, that bifurcation of society is going to occur, where people who don't want that to be the future are going to have to figure out a way not to be part of that. And people who want that to be the future, like the lady who we just saw in the fucking TikTok, are gonna end up going in that direction.
I think it's an interesting time, and I think that is kind of the thing that I am leaning towards in a way, is that the sort of progression of this technology and the way that it's going to be used via both like in your body and also like externally in things that replicate human beings is so determined already.
But even then,
It's so determined already that like it's inevitable. And not only that, you would want to not be involved with the system. I understand that. Most people wouldn't. They will do some kind of like 9/11 COVID, maybe double whammy both together like event to make you all freaked out and scared and get it, just like they did the fucking vaccine.
Yeah,
just
well, that
like
was the first. Fool me once, like George Bush said. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, can't get fooled again, okay? Can't get fooled again. Can't get fucking fooled again. And secondly, a lot of this stuff is speculative currently. So, like, I'm not that alarmed. But at the same time, it's showing where people's heads are at philosophically. That's the part that I'm alarmed about, is the fact that people aren't necessarily asking these philosophical, moral, ethical, spiritual questions. Even if you're not like me and you're not woo-woo and spiritual or whatever, the fact that these ethical, moral, philosophical questions aren't at the forefront should worry you.
I would rather be discussing this than fucking immigration.
Yeah.
Or like all the bollocks that politics is about. Do you know what I mean?
But most people just, I don't know, maybe, I don't know why there isn't as much interest in this as there is in all the boomer ticks that's available.
I don't know. I think
now.
it's because people are struggling to fucking eat and pay bills and shit, and this doesn't necessarily like obviously provide any immediate way that's gonna like get more money in your pocket, or decrease your rent or anything like that, right?
That is like, true. It's only for nerds who want to like pontificate about this stuff and
it's
think
not necessarily nerds. I think it's something that is gonna happen, or something that we're gonna have the answer to within the next 5 to 10 years. I think we'll have the answer to that.
I think that there's a lot of interests working to tell us who we are in many different ways. I think there's an entire cosmology and, you know, philosophy being constructed surrounding not just human origins with like the alien stuff, but also human destiny and like human evolution with this stuff as well. And I don't want anyone to force an ontology on me. I get to decide what my ontology is as a sovereign being on this planet. And what I find suspicious about this technological acceleration is like you said, and like I said with the whole mark of the beast thing, it's like a forced ontology. It's like, oh, we know for definite that this is what consciousness is. We know for definite that this is what XYZ is. And now for definite, you have to believe this, do this, have this. I don't want anyone.
I think that still the two things can be a separate understanding. I think just because, for example, they do like figure out the level of it's 5 years down the line, they've got ChatGPT 10 or the level of that with its language capabilities and everything else and reasoning and whatever else, and they've advanced even further with robotics and whatever else. And And the answer there is literally just chucking enough data into it, and yes, something akin to
consciousness emerges.
Something
but
akin
that's
to something akin to digital consciousness is in this thing. Yeah, of course
that's so
it is.
speculative, and it's so in the
it is.
philosophical quantum
Of course
domain.
it is.
But
But
these
that doesn't-
people believe that is
Let
the
me
case.
finish.
Okay,
Let
go
me
on.
finish. But that doesn't necessarily mean that we understand our consciousness.
We don't. It's a mystery, and not every mystery is a problem to
And
be solved. Fucking Dune. Listen to Frank Herbert. Not every mystery is a fucking problem to be solved.
You know?
You know, that's the problem with you Aramanic motherfuckers.
Oh my God.
It's the truth.
I think it's two
It's a
separate
possession.
things.
It's demonic. It's a sickness.
It's two separate
It's
things.
a sickness.
It's two separate things, and it's very exciting.
Yeah, for the fucking demons.
It's very exciting.
For demons, this is exciting for.
It's very exciting.
Anyway, moving on to the next topic.
No. My phone's about to die. We're over an hour.
We're over an hour.
We've done it.
Oh shit,
That's it.
we've done it. So we'll do the next topic next time.
Yeah. We'll save it. We'll bank
But
it.
hopefully we've given you some food for thought. And if you're not sick enough of our crazy AI talk, go check out my Ghost in the Shell video on Depth Diaries.
And again, stock picks: Raytheon, Northrop Grumman. What's the other big one?
Stop being edgy. Fuck you.
Oh my God.
Stop it. Anyway, link in the description. I'm also going to link this dazed article in the description for those of you who are interested in reading more about this weird prison thingy-majinger. But yeah, good night, guys. It was lovely talking to you.
Peace.
See ya.